Greetings, everybody. We've gathered around the table today for another episode. And today we've got something new for us in Canada, but it's not necessarily a new knife.
It's been around for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, first, pocket dumps. Dennis.
All right. I'm carrying the sleeves buoy. Buoy, sleeves,
Bowie.
sleeves. I don't know.
This one?
It's a good time. Titanium XHP. It's not for sale. Don't ask.
Still get harassed about that, dude.
Fine. I'll stop asking.
But it's a nice one.
Yeah,
People
still
are
not
going
for
to
sale.
ask.
Yeah.
Today, gone back to the
ZT 620 CF.
He's going to stab my chair.
Well,
Yeah.
I will.
But he actually opened it properly.
This time.
First time? Yeah.
First time. Didn't fumble on it.
Next time, you're just going to hear shit breaking into the background. It's going to be terrible.
Terribly awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of changed speeds a little bit this week. I went for something a little bit more old school. We're recording this on Father's Day today, and this was one of my father's knives, so kind of felt right to be carrying today.
That is fair.
Yeah.
And then I've got one of my regular go-tos, the Crooked River.
So filthy.
So very filthy.
It's kind of gross, dude.
It's a lot of schmutz.
Were you throwing that earlier?
No. It was shipment day the other day, and there's lots of tape gunk on it.
Tape and lint.
You know,
Good
What do you
times.
mean you use your stuff?
surprise, surprise. Yeah. So today we have one from Zero Tolerance, and as our slogan says, "Go bold." The 609.
Pretty damn bold.
They were making a statement with this
Mhm.
one, for sure.
That they were. And one of the biggest statement pieces about it was the little see-through pivot there,
Yeah.
which is a
RJ
funky
Martin.
little touch.
Engineered by R.J. Martin.
Yeah. Pretty innovative design. Yeah.
So weighing a total of 3.3 ounces, it would take about 91 of these to equal the length or equal the weight of a Southern Royal Albatross.
How many of those?
91.
Okay. It's a
Yeah.
heavy bird.
Yeah,
They're big birds, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, eh?
the ocean cruisers.
I
Terrifying.
got it. Just plucking and
It's a lot of
scanning.
bird.
You don't need 91 to. It's 20 CV. Like you can.
You'll
get
need the
you
one.
can get the job done with one easy. Like
This is true.
What about an albatross made of these? You think a one would be enough at that point?
a Mechatros.
Made of 20 CV and titanium with ball bearings. Where are the bearings?
Don't worry about it.
The 609 Megatros.
It's not a meeting season yet.
Oh, no.
So with an overall length of 7.4 inches, it would take about 31 fire ants to equal the length of this knife.
Could they carry the knife?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I could
31.
see 31 carrying that.
It's terrifying.
Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all are crazy.
Don't know. The fire ants are crazy. Coming at you with a knife.
Like, just know that I wake up, see like 31 fire ants carrying a knife towards you.
Oh no, it's slowly getting closer.
Swoosh.
You take a step to the left, it follows you.
Slowly.
Across the floor, tracking your movements with 31 fire ants.
It's awful. They're a pest enough by themselves.
Indeed, indeed.
So this is kind of it's a step in a continuing direction for ZT where they're doing more and more fancy work. We've gotten away from the plain steel liners, the beefy G10 and the S30V blades.
How
now.
dare you
They're
speak
tank
bad
level.
of the 350
No,
and
that's not-
909.
I like those knives and I like this knife. It's just definitely a different
It's
direction.
very much
Mhm.
a different direction.
This is a classy little boy. Yeah, I like him. It's cool.
For sure. And everything from size and pocket as well as thickness behind the edge, everything makes this a little bit of a classier piece compared to what ZT's normally known for.
It tickles me in all the right places with the materials they chose for it, too.
Dirty.
20 CV and titanium. I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically all I need.
Ball bearings, I'm kind of a bronzy guy or a bronze washer guy myself type of thing, but
I like bearings.
I can see the appeal.
And flippers.
And especially with the pivot, the way it is, ball bearings come into play with that really nicely, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know what? That high speed, low drag sort of approach to things, right? That flippy, slippy sort of action.
It pops pretty good.
High speed and low drag.
Well,
On
hey,
a 609.
both of us are coming from
all of
washers,
a sudden we got a Cold Steel review going on here.
yeah. I mean, artistically, I really like the flow lines of the piece.
Yeah.
The continuing line, like following the grind out into the handle, the herringbone pattern that suspiciously reminiscent of the Anthem.
A little bit, right?
Mhm.
It
I'm
even
not
like
complaining.
the jimping on it, it's really really rounded off, but the way it's directional, it still like catches your thumb nicely.
Yeah, it's nice and shelved. It's actually got
Yeah.
some material to stop your thumb from moving, as opposed to just having the material bite in.
That's it.
And I do find sometimes that I actually complain about more than one finger choil for a grip, and this one actually fits me personally really, really nicely. Yeah, no complaints about it. And I think that has to do with the chamfering on the edges and the
Yeah.
attention to detail that I don't see as many hot spots as I do on something that maybe is a little more budget oriented
Mhm.
with that type of thing, right?
They paid attention to the corner rounding on
Yes.
these, and
Yeah.
it really, really shows.
The corner rounding on the spine here too is really nice. Like the
And even to the
chamfering.
detail on the jimping itself.
Mhm.
No sharp spots at all, but still gives you tons of texture. So, yeah, really like that.
Kind of a feat in itself. I mean, how many makers, have such crazy harsh jimping in a desperate attempt to get your thumb to lock into place?
Lots.
yeah, and for how smooth that is to lock in as nicely as it does, they were made properly.
Yeah, no, it's very nice.
Also love the finish on the blade. The satins that ZT's known for, I'm a big fan of. They do a really nice polish on their blades, and they all come out looking really, really sexy. So,
Yeah.
Very controlled.
The bronze on the titanium too is just so crisp. It's just so pretty.
I almost want to call that a stone wash for the flats and then satin for the actual bevels themselves.
Fair enough.
It's a
Wouldn't
very
be surprised.
light stone wash, if anything.
yeah, and they've done that on other models as well. So,
Mhm. Just have a bit of contrast. And,
Yeah, it helps break up the different spots.
and then even the nice mirror polish on that, like beautiful mirror
Yeah.
polish. And that is awesome in a lot of ways. We'll get into other ways where it might not be so hot later, but
I do like
Yeah,
the
that's it.
contrast between the other hardware, which wasn't mirror polished. For me personally, it kind of draws your attention to the center of the knife once
To
it's
the
open,
pivot.
Yep.
as opposed to going between the blade, the pivot, and the
Mhm.
and every highlight of this knife is focusing on
That.
you bet. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So to have that be the center of attention is exactly what ZT achieved, right? So, and just being recently on Blade Show, this is not a new knife, but again, they've gone back to crazy beefy. Can't believe how crazy the new 223 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'd like to see more of this from ZT than what they've just recently offered.
These are the kinds of knives that I like from ZT. In all honesty.
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
them so well,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Practicality rather than making a statement and changing the knife world.
Yeah.
Sometimes the classiest knife you can make or the nicest knife you can make might go under the radar a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Which may have been actually the case with this. I wasn't hugely popular, like, into it when it first dropped. I was kind of
I've seen people talk about it, but it
Yeah.
hasn't really been as widely discussed, it seems, as some other major
That's it.
releases.
I almost think in that case ZT might be shooting themselves in the foot a little bit because they came out with the Rexford Sinkovich collaboration. They came out with the GTC spring
Mhm.
opening. It all came out within a couple years, and I think maybe the see-through fly-through pivot was another one of those just kind of went under the radar compared to some other things that
Yeah.
they're working with, right?
Yeah.
So,
Lastly, thin profile, thin blade. It's not a stupid thick knife.
Mhm.
no, it's nice and slicey.
That's capacity material. Very nice. And I think Dennis said earlier it rests okay in your pocket.
I really like it in my pocket.
for what it is, I mean, and again, compared to a 301 or a 350 that ZT is known for, yeah, this is getting closer to the Osbornes and the Smocks out there
Mhm.
rather than
More
hand
of a
grenade.
dress knife.
Yeah,
I put this one in my pocket and actively tried to hurt myself with it. Like, was really grinding my hand into it, trying to like get catch an edge or
See if it
something,
would dig in or something.
and it didn't at all. It was really really nice in pocket for that.
Good.
Mhm.
Well, I think it's time to lay into the.
Do we want to hate on this a little bit for a while?
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
whole primary argument.
Yep.
One major complaint.
And this would be it. Is with that funky see-through pivot that they have. Actually, give them one handle. They made it so the way you can adjust the pivot is all the little holes around the outside edge there, and you can buy a little tool to help you adjust it.
That's kind of the key wording there, that you can
Buy.
Yeah.
You can buy it now,
Yeah.
a year and a half later after the knife has come out. But at the beginning of 2018, when this knife came out, and you were given an estimated 3 to 4 weeks before the tool was going to be ready,
It was closer to like 6 months, wasn't it?
that didn't happen, sir.
Yeah.
That did not happen.
There is a ZT version of this tool. We have the Kershaw version here. ZT version is more expensive, using titanium, I think, instead of steel. Or
Is there a ZT version?
I thought it was the same.
I thought,
Yeah,
there
I thought it
a
was the
ZT
same
version.
myself.
I
Not
do
too sure.
believe there is one tool that does both.
Mhm.
Okay, fair enough.
And they
I thought
only
that was
issued
ZT.
people the Kershaw tool.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, now it's cross-branding.
And speaking of that, does the one Kershaw knife that's out on the market called the Fly-Through
Yeah.
also
Has
is
its pivot,
this
yeah.
tool.
So as it stands, there are 2 knives made by Kai, one of Kai's companies, that use that pivot tool.
Mhm.
And that's what, $20 American? Something like that? 2025?
Yeah.
And if you get really mad at ZT and you just want to use it as a microtech tool, just chop 2 of the stars off, and then it gets back at the ZT CAD Corporation a little bit, and especially because you're going to be using it on a microtech the
There you
next
go.
time around.
So use it on the Natrix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
So one of the major reasons why we're not a fan of this tool and how they have it set up is to try and adjust it, you do need to use both halves and get it all perfectly lined up and not have the thing fall over on you and not scratch that nice mirror finish.
And that was something we were talking about earlier,
Yeah.
as being a nice, beautiful focal point on this
Mhm.
knife.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're giving you this tool that they're like, hey, don't beat up that cool focal point on this knife by potentially scratching it with less than powerful magnets that
Yep.
they offer.
I would have been willing to pay the equivalent of $10 American more on this knife to get the tool included. To be
Yeah.
honest,
It should have just been included in the first
It
place.
should
It
be.
should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of agreed on the stand where if it was the ZT, you probably included it. If it was the Kershaw, you might be above and beyond, because even the guys that are buying the Kershaws might not even care whether they're
Mhm.
taking it apart or not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Whereas the customers that are buying the ZTs have a little more care and maintenance usually involved. They're not the workhorse brand knife.
Yeah.
The thing that bothers me too is you get the tool, but they have these nice little holes in them that you're supposed to be able to put a rod through to give you a little bit extra torque to open your knife if you need to,
Yeah.
and those aren't included either.
Mhm.
Like,
No,
it would have taken nothing to throw those into a box.
everyone I've watched, including myself when I figured out how to do it, took micro screwdrivers
Yeah.
and used
Yeah.
those as what you needed
Yep.
to get the proper
It's,
torque.
and we've adjusted the pivot before as such, and it is a sketchy thing to do. Like
Yeah.
the amount of torque and control that you need to have and be able to slowly do it.
Yeah.
Is,
Definitely one of those things that you need to grow a third arm for.
yeah.
Whoa.
Where it came from is
Yeah,
confusing.
yeah, exactly. I don't know where people be growing arms from lately, but
Don't worry about it.
yeah.
I'll tell you tomorrow.
After you maintain this tool,
Oh.
we're gonna have to
Oh, no.
resell it at a lower value.
Before we
Give it a
get
good
to-
hard wash. It's gonna smell like mushrooms.
Before getting on the subject of adjusting
Mushrooms?
tools, let's continue on with this tool.
Mhm. So yeah,
At least there's magnets.
yeah. So magnets do help line it up and hold it in place, but you still need a tool to help you use the tool to adjust your knife. So
and they doubled on earlier less than powerful
Mhm.
magnets.
Yeah, they could be stronger.
Yeah.
They are hit and miss. Actually, this one that I've played with is actually not too bad. But I have played with other of these Kershaw tools that were less than satisfactory, would barely cling to the knife by attaching it.
Mhm.
And again, you're asking to scratch this pivot because your tool doesn't properly grip the way it should, right?
And even with the Kershaw model that has the fly through, it's painted or something like that too,
It's a
right?
painted black.
Mhm.
So you're
That's
just as
straight
likely
right
to
off.
scratch it.
It's
too.
not like it's a hardcore DLC coating or anything, so.
No.
Probably more so then.
Yeah.
And again, we doubled on it slightly, but I will also talk about price point on this guy.
Mhm.
premium knife comes with a premium price tag, but with that, one of the things that should have been included with that premium price tag was the tool itself.
Yeah.
And people would have been able to swallow that price tag way, way easier.
Would have taken the sting out for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, even Wii knives, when they first did the little star pivot, they had included tools. And we kind of, well, at least I kind of expected to see the tool included when I saw that design really
Indeed.
revealed.
Lion Steel. They do the same thing.
Me and you talked about the deal, both including the tool to go with it. And sure, you didn't have the tool ready, but again, figure something out with customers that's a price effective, like again, $10 or something like that, $20. But when you come out with a 25 US, 35 Canadian MSRP on a tool that you've already paid a premium price tag,
And yeah, significant price. And
it's a kick when you're down.
it's not a huge knife either, so it hurts a little bit more that way too, right?
Mhm.
Before we continue to beat the dead horse,
Grip.
Yeah.
Let's jump off onto grip.
I was going to ask Nigel, because this one's the other one that's obvious, because this knife is not a 350 or a 301 from ZT.
No. I find the grip on this one gross. Personally, I don't like it when knives lay angled in your hand and you're pointing with it. So from that aspect, I don't like the ergonomics. And then too small in the second finger choil, and the length of the handle for me is just awkward.
surprise, surprise, this isn't a comfortable knife for people with massive hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that may even be doubly so because of how thin the handle is. It takes even less for you to get your hand
Mhm.
around it, so it just compounds into a weird grip.
But it feels so
It
good.
works out for everyone with a
Yeah.
large or smaller hand. You're probably going to love this knife. If you're an XL or bigger, you might not. It might be a little too small for you.
See,
You need bigger hands than Nigel, so it's a 3-finger grip.
Yeah.
I like that forward kind of angle. I
Yeah.
do like that.
And I think
But-
the second finger choil is why Nigel is ending up getting it pointed, because
Mhm.
it doesn't fit properly. But I mean, you can put a full grip on here and it doesn't point you as much. You can still do some really good push cuts.
Yeah.
I think it really is dependent on that
Where you're
second,
going.
that second make or break
Yeah.
is where you're going to love or hate this grip.
And I will say the finger choils do help, but it's not particularly traction-y along the top. There's a little bit of traction due to the milling relief, but it's not
pretty
anything
smooth.
really substantial. So if you're thinking of this as a hard use knife, maybe within certain grips, but it can be a little bit slick.
Mhm.
Anybody that's looking at that and going, it's going to be my hard use knife is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry out to sell you.
Yeah.
Beat this up first. I don't think any of us are really too hot on that pocket clip.
No.
It
seems like an afterthought.
for the price.
Yeah.
You see things like the Rexford Sienkiewicz collaboration and some of the other higher end models, and you see the 3D sculpted clips. It doesn't have to be unique to this knife, but I really expected something better than just a pancake sheet clip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty utilitarian. It's sufficient, but that's about as far as it goes.
Mhm.
It's not even deep carry, but seriously though, like it's not like anything super special. So it sticks out. It's
They
weird.
could have made it a spring clip, and I would have been happy. Like
Could have still been that color.
the wire clip.
Mhm.
And then again, zero tolerance. A little bit of advertising, but that's normal on their clips.
That's fine.
Love it or hate it. Yeah. Some people like it, some people don't.
If you hate it, just sand the thing down.
Yeah. So on to the grading.
Rating.
Let's go, Paul.
We're starting at the top of the mountain today. Today I gave it a 85. Shut up, cat. So for me, I gave it an 85, which is an A minus. It only really lost points for me in the cost versus materials and cost versus fit and finish. I knocked it down in both of those categories a little bit because of the fact that the tool doesn't come with,
Mhm.
and the fact that you have a tool that's separate, I have to go and get a whole separate tool, and it's a pain in the butt. I actually gave it a 10 in my personal score for both material choice and pocket ergos because, again, in the pocket it felt great, even with that kind of cheap clip. And titanium 20 CV, there's not much more that
Mhm.
I need in my life. I'm quite happy with both of those things.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that it lost points for was enthusiasm. And I started with a fairly low enthusiasm for this knife, and then it kind of picked up as I actually got one in hand.
What is your enthusiasm score?
A 7.
Okay.
Yeah. It started probably at around a 5 or lower, and then when I got it in hand, I really liked it. But again, having to buy that tool separately knocked it down in points.
Yeah.
Just from a personal standpoint of I don't want to have to buy something else separately.
That is very understandable.
Yeah.
Joe, do it up.
Yeah. I gave this guy an 80, which comes out to a B, 2 points away from a B plus for those of you that care. It actually got really good marks pretty much across the board, except for enthusiasm, which is where I kind of allocated all those points because of that stupid tool. Went down to a 6. I can never see myself buying this knife specifically because of the added tool cost.
The fact that it's the first knife that came out with this tool, it should have just come with the tool because everyone uses it.
Yeah. But high scores, high places would have been cost for fit and finish. That knife makes me happy in so many ways.
Very cleanly
the corner radiusing, the chamfering, like just beautifully machined, and a great example of what ZT is capable of on the high end. Material choice, 9 again. Siding with you again because holy shit, 20 CV and titanium. Yeah, that's
You don't need
that's
anything
money,
else.
money in the bank.
Yeah.
Literally everything else got an 8. Again, aside from enthusiasm, like it's just such a good knife, but the pivot freaking kills it.
Yeah.
Innovative as it might be, it just sucks that you don't. I need a T8 and this stupid extra tool in order to disassemble this knife. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's okay. While you have your T8 out, you'll have the bar
Extra
to
leverage.
exactly.
You'll still need another tool to get for the
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, a nice knife, but yeah.
All right, on to me. Ended up scoring it a 79 for me, which is also a good solid B, point lower than Joe itself. For me, low points for cost versus
Itself.
material. Yeah, Joe itself. It's not a himself, it's an itself. If you know Joe,
I'm gonna change my
you
username.
know that statement is
I'm
accurate.
changing my username tomorrow to Joe itself.
Perfect.
Nice.
Says a guy that's never on social media.
It'll happen 2 weeks from now.
You never know.
Yeah, the fact with the tool, I gave it a knock on the cost versus materials, over $400 Canadian MSRP. Titanium and CV, and that's awesome with ball bearings, and that's good and fine, but there's some other things on the market that are rivaling that for substantially lower prices. So
The 3D machining didn't quite mean enough to you to keep those points, eh?
no, I mean, like, in that point,
appreciate that.
you're getting into a Sebenza or even a mid-tech realm
Yeah.
for this price point, and for what's out there, it's just not cutting it, right? I was in the same category with Paul, where I wasn't as enthusiastic about this knife until I actually got to play with it. And I probably, again, would have bumped it 4 or 5, and it jumped up to a 7 for my enthusiasm after I did play with it, because I was quite impressed with that as well, right? But overall, 9s and 8s, great knife overall. Just couldn't swallow the cost with the tool. And then even more of a sour taste in your mouth after how kind of Kershaw played the response with the tool. There was definitely some
Hurt feelings.
interactions, especially online and social media, about this too.
Oh, yeah, there were.
Yeah, bit of an uproar, and whether ZT or Kershaw played their cards properly or not,
There were some harsh words.
look
debate.
into
From both
the
sides.
history and make your own decision from that, right? So,
Yep. As per usual, I'm the low end of the scores.
Hater.
surprise, surprise, Nigel doesn't like a non-XL knife.
I ended up giving this guy a 66 at a C minus.
Oof.
Yeah.
So 79, next lowest score, 66.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Well, as far as the objective, the things that killed it for me were cost versus fit and finish and cost versus materials, because I considered the pivot issues that we have and the cost of this guy as part of that. So it took a hit on that, and then it also took a hit on the enthusiasm. I wasn't really keen on the knife in general. I can kind of get a sense of that pointy issue that I don't like before I get it in hand even, so I had that bit of the knock on the enthusiasm. And then when the tool came out and we had those issues of trying to adjust and play around with it, my enthusiasm settled down to a 2.
hater.
All my other scores came out in 8 and 6s though. That's all I gave besides the 2 for enthusiasm, so... If it wasn't the issues with the pivot tool, it probably would have done pretty good.
Yeah. Which, I mean, knocked points down off of everybody.
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
surprising.
You're in a production knife world offering, hey, you want to buy this nice knife? Oh, it's so nice. You've bought it. Well, here's a tool that you need to adjust
Yeah.
the one of the most important aspects.
We'll give it to you in 6 months,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid.
and it's
You-
going to
you-
cost you $25.
You want to play with your knife that you just bought? We'll get around to giving you the tool for it eventually. Like, yeah.
Bit of a sour taste. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we have to say on this guy. So yeah, very, very well made knife. Definitely going to be up to a personal opinion as far as if you can deal with the pivot tool, how it fits in your hand, stuff like that.
It is a functional tool, and it will work well for you.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And
Yep.
who knows? This might just be the design where you pick it up and you're like, holy shit, I need
Mhm.
this.
Mhm.
I've had designs like that have happened for me that I'm sure there's people out there who just need this.
It's a great knife, and if you have that wow factor for it, you won't be disappointed on its performance and everything. But
Mhm.
look at the package as a whole.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That being said, Nigel the Smith signing off.
I am who I am. I'm Dennis Vipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
From exile.ca.
We will catch you again next time.